You might be wondering why I would bother making a Predator review by talking about the movie Mercury Rising. But if you happen to see the movie Mercury Rising back in 1998, you pretty much can understand exactly where I'm going with this if you know anything about this ridiculous-ass movie. So basically, I really don't want to spoil too much, but the thing about it is if you've watched any of the trailers that they've been constantly spamming us with on YouTube or anywhere else, you would know that this movie has to do with like another super predator come after the first predator who gets on the planet and whatnot, kind of like they did in the last movie, Predators, with Adrian Brody, who's a shitty actor. And I mean, Adrian Brody's actually a good actor, but for them to take him and put him in a role like that and try to make him seem like a big-ass tough guy, it was like, it just wasn't believable. That movie Predators was, most people probably really didn't like it because it probably had a shitty score on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot. And the thing about it is, in this movie, basically the Predator technology gets cracked by an autistic boy. So I'm wondering how much money Autism Speaks gave to the development team of this movie. I have to wonder. But the whole idea of the autistic kid that knows it all and is able to crack the codes and everything, that's already been done before. And it didn't work with Mercury Rising either. In fact, Bruce Willis got like one of those golden raspberries for it, and the kid who played the autistic kid in that movie, he ended up getting like a Best Supporting Actor award or whatnot. But now you get to this fucking shit movie, The Predator. And the problem with reviewing these movies now is you're not allowed to post video and you're not allowed to post movie clips, obviously, because you can't record anything from inside the theater. But if you've seen any of the trailers, all I can say is when I saw the movie, the one thing I kind of appreciate was they tried to make it feel fresher. Shane Black tried to make it feel a little bit fresher. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is they just basically tried to inject a lot of humor. And the movie was overly dark in most of the action sequences. And the problem that I had with that was it was really hard to actually see who was getting killed or who was shooting who. And the bad guy, this guy right here, he's the bad guy in the movie, and I won't, talk too much about it, but all I can say is that I don't even remember seeing that guy get killed. That's how dark the movie was. And from what I as try as I might, I can't remember even seeing that guy get killed in the movie. I just can't remember it. And the thing about it is, it's like, just like with the movie AVP Requiem, they try to take a bunch of people, like regular people, and they try to put them together and they try to make a ragtag team, and the team is going to go out and fight the Predators and everything. But at least in AVP Requiem, you were watching it so that you could actually see Alien versus Predator. And in the first movie, it was like one alien took out a bunch of Predators and he didn't get killed to the end. And then in the next movie, AVPR Requiem, you see one Predator, now he takes out a bunch of aliens, and then he goes up against a Pred alien. So my point is, it's like, I don't understand what the point of them constantly making these movies is, because these movies really suck at this point. Now, the first two movies were, as far as I'm concerned, those were science fiction classic masterpieces. Now, a lot of people didn't like Predator 2 because they switched up Arnold Schwarzenegger with Danny Glover. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, he didn't return for the Predator 2. And I'm kind of glad that he didn't, because as far as I'm concerned, Alien versus... Predator 2 worked perfectly because it changed the scenery. It made it a more exotic location. Instead of going to a jungle again, what they did was they go to the concrete jungle of L.A. And they kept the movie moving at such a fast pace, and they kept all of the scenes, the action sequences, they kept it all moving and flowing so smoothly that I really feel that I keep fucking saying AVP. Predator 2 was a better movie in some respects than Predator 1 as far as science fiction budget and effects are concerned. Obviously, because they upped the ante. They gave the Predator all these cool weapons, which ultimately were used in all of the Predator games, all of the AVP games too. But the first Predator movie, when people came into theater, they didn't know what they were coming in to see. They didn't know what the Predator looked like. They didn't know what he could do. They didn't know anything about him. In the second movie, they basically delved into the Predator culture, and they're like, oh, well, he's a hunter and he's an honor killer and this, that, and other. And then in AVP, it was like that guy, what's that asshole's name? The guy who made those Resident Evil movies. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. But anyway, it'll come back to me. In Alien versus Predator, obviously there wasn't a lot of blood in that movie, and that killed, oh yeah, Paul W.S. Anderson. That guy really knows how to fuck up a movie. He fucked up Event Horizon. He fucked up Alien versus Predator. And then when they came back, the brothers, they came back and made AVPR. They fucked it up just a little bit more. But the problem is, all of these new, I hate to call them directors, all of these people, they have no idea how to direct one of these movies. And the sad thing is, when I see even the newest Ridley Scott, what was it, Alien Covenant, that movie fucking sucked. And I'm really disappointed because, you know, I'm so glad that I grew up in the 80s. Because when I grew up in the 80s, I had Aliens, and I know Alien came out before I was even born. But it goes to show you that the technology that they had back then, they didn't even have much technology. They didn't have CGI, and they made that shit look real. And now everything looks fake. Like, for instance, in the movie, they bring back Predator dogs like they had in Predators. Unfortunately, the Predator dog that they had in this movie was ridiculous and didn't make any sense. It was like, it was like a fucking, it was acting like a puppy. Like, even in the movie Predators, they were sicking the dogs on people and dogs attacking people, the Predator dogs. But in this movie, it was like they were shooting them full of holes, and the fucking things were just standing there as if they didn't have enough special effects budget to make them move around. It didn't make any goddamn sense. And I tell you, at certain parts of the movie, I really didn't know what the direction of the movie really was. But once the movie actually got where it was going, I was like really, really disappointed. And again, I'll say it again. When I was watching the film, it was like, in fact, let's see what they're saying about this movie. Because the thing about it is, when I was watching it, it was so dark in most parts, I really couldn't even tell what was happening. And I think that's one of the things that hurts it the most. Because, let's see, it says the Predator raids the Nun's collection basket, so Predator made more money, which I'm really surprised that they didn't get more people to see the Nun. But the problem is they keep making all these shitty-ass horror movies where everything's a fucking jump scare. IMDb says that right now it's got 3 out of 5 stars. As far as I'm concerned, that shit should be like 1 or 2. I really, after rewatching AVPR, it was like I realized that movie wasn't that great. Alien versus Predator was, the build-up and the special effects budget was huge, but they really fucked that movie up. And it's sad because, you know, if they would just follow the script of the games, they would have had a better movie. But what got to me more than anything was, like, how do you take this franchise and just totally ruin it? Like, I can't even understand how they just totally ruined this whole freaking franchise. And it really bothers me. And I grew up with the first movie and the second movie. I thought the second movie was absolutely fabulous. The first movie was absolutely fabulous. But every single sequel, shit. Like, here, you got this invisible creature with a fucking laser blaster and all these weapons and shit. And the Predator is basically 0-10. He hasn't won a single movie. He hasn't won every single movie the Predator gets killed off. It's disgusting. It's like Donald Trump won more than the Predator. It's ridiculous. And like in this movie, they have a child in it, but it's a rated R movie. And it looked like they were trying to make it kid-friendly, but they basically turned these damn movies into fucking cartoons. Now, there's guys I know like Acid Glow. There's a dude who likes, he made his YouTube money off of talking about the Predator and Alien franchises, this dude Acid Glow. And I actually like watching his movies and everything. And 15 hours ago, he made a movie review about this movie. So you could probably watch his later, because I know I'm going to. I haven't watched it yet. But he makes his YouTube money. He's got 172,000 subscribers. And he makes his YouTube money getting people to watch all of his comic book breakdowns. He even breaks down like Doom and all this and everything. And before I even watch his movie, I really hope that he wasn't too friendly to this movie, because as far as I'm concerned, this movie was fucking bullshit. And in fact, somebody, like I was talking on Facebook about how bad this movie was. And he was like, yeah, this movie was bad. And I was like, yeah, it's a damn cartoon now. And he was like, it had potential. You know, it really did have potential because I thought I knew where the movie was going, but it was fucking ridiculous. I mean, it was so ridiculous. It stopped making sense at a certain point. And then even when you wanted to believe that they were trying to make it lighthearted, it just, at a certain point, it just got absolutely ridiculous. It says, yes, I just saw The Predator. It has been a while since the last Predator movie. Please, if you intend to see the movie, you might not want to hear my opinion, so don't read any further. This, by far, has to be the worst Predator movie that I have seen. The same bullshit from the 1970s type movies. You know, the type super American Anglo beats everyone in a fight and conquers all. Kind of like Adrian Brody, anyway. This is one of the same. We're old white men in the theater. We're like, oh, even he said old white men in the theater were like, oh my fucking God. I will tell you a bit about the movie. There is a super predator that hunts down the regular predators. This super predator looks like he can destroy anything and anybody. This predator is badass. But guess what? The super Anglo-American and his son, yeah, his autistic son, by the way, can become friends with the predator's dog, beats up the super predator, jumps on top of the spaceship, hangs on top of the spaceship, and then gets inside the predator spaceship, and you know the rest. As always, the super Anglo is a damn super duper ex-army man. That bastard didn't even get a scratch on him. This is much of the same bullshit that we always see. You know, the one that you always say, if he brought that shit to the hood, he'd get his ass smashed. What a disappointment. The movie was so bad that the senior citizens in the theater at 11:45 in the afternoon was saying how bad this movie was. This old Jewish man with his wife said loudly that this movie is so bad it made my ass hurt. It was so bad I went into another theater and saw another movie. Well, there you have it. You know, from the mouth of some guy on the internet. That's the best I can do for a Predator review without spoiling anything. But it's like this. It's like if your kids want to see this shit, it's like, you know, if they're teenagers, they've got access to fucking X-Hamster now. So if they really want to see it, you might as well go take them to see it. But I'm really disappointed because as a kid, I had Alien, I had Aliens, I had RoboCop, I had Predator, I had Predator 2. It was like the sci-fi movies that I grew up on the 80s has completely spoiled me for all this fucking trash that we're getting now. And I don't know what to say. And if you saw this movie, you can leave your comment here and you can tell me whether you liked it or not. And I really believe that I'm going to get flooded with a bunch of comments that says this movie fucking sucked. So if you think that this movie sucked, just give me a comment and say whether or not you felt this movie sucked. Now, I've done my best to avoid spoiling, but I tell you, it's like, I can't say it. It's fucking ridiculous. It was like Predator 1, A+, Predator 2, A-. What is it? AVP, fucking C-. And then the AVPR, probably a D+. And then Predators, I'd probably give that shit like a C-. And then this fucking shit right here, I'd have to say that this movie is like a hard fucking F. I mean, it's really fucking bad. It's like if they told me that they were making a lampoon of the Predator and they passed this movie off, I would probably say, okay, you did a great job. But I'm really disappointed. I feel like they took $14 and wiped my ass with it and then just threw it in the toilet.